All right, boys, pull out your pen and paper. My phone is dying and the sun is setting. Got to make this quick, so get your hands ready. Quickest way to get dialed in for testosterone replacement therapy purposes. Now, what does that mean to me? That means having your testosterone within the reference range with a peak right at the tippy top. Okay, you can get dialed in on any fucking protocol. You can get dialed in on a gram of test. You can get dialed in on 200 milligrams plus HCG. The purpose of this video is just for the simple guy who wants to get dialed in on testosterone replacement. He doesn't want to go way above the reference range, isn't too concerned about being maxed the fuck out and having to, manage estrogenic side effects with an AI or something like that, which is totally fine if you want to do that. I've got a video on how to dial in an AI if you want to do that. But I think you can get dialed in with the least amount of side effects in the shortest amount of time and still be a fucking happy camper who feels good, gets good boners, and has great energy and motivation. You don't need to go super high, So I'm going to give you my formula for what I think is the fastest way to get dialed in for testosterone replacement therapy purposes. I'm not going to talk about HCG, okay? That will be for another video if we have to. Okay, also talk to your fucking doctor. Just going to say that. Talk to your doctor about this. Don't just do it because I said so. Fastest way to get dialed in, simple TRT, not talking about HCG right now. 100 milligrams per week split into every 3-day injections. 100 milligrams of Test-Sip, usually because that's going to be prescribed in the United States, or Nanthate, split into every 3-day injections. Why every 3-day injections? Again, I'm going to go fast because shit's dying all over the place. My phone is dying. The sun is dying. I'm dying. Injecting every 3.5 days is fucking annoying because you're going to have to inject one time in the morning and then one time in the evening, which is just kind of hard to remember. You got to set an alarm on your phone. It's annoying having to inject in the morning and the night. It's just easier if you inject every 3 days in the morning. I just think it's easy. You set a reminder on your phone, boom, 3 days hits, you inject. Okay, so 100 milligrams split into every 3-day injections, every 100 milligrams per week. If you need help calculating your dosage in milliliters, so you can watch a video on that. I'll try to link it in the corner eventually here. I'm doing this on my phone though. Okay, then you're going to wait 8 weeks to grab labs. Why are you going to wait 8 weeks? Why not 12? Why not 4? Why not fucking 2? You're going to wait 8 weeks because at 5 weeks, your testosterone in the serum in your blood is going to be stable, steady state. You're going to wait an additional 3 weeks. 5 plus 3 is 8. You're going to wait an additional 3 weeks because you want your nuts to be shut down, or at least have a high likelihood of your nuts being almost completely shut down. The reason being, if you measure labs too early and your nuts aren't completely shut down, you're going to have the exogenous test being measured on your labs, and then you're going to have the little bit that your nuts are putting out added on top. So you're going to have an artificially increased lab value, and you may adjust your dosage based on that, and it's just going to make things harder down the road. You have to make more adjustments. So wait 8 weeks first time around. At 8 weeks labs, you're going to be measuring trough. So that means measuring the day you inject before you inject. The more frequent you inject, the more accurate your labs are, the less you have to extrapolate and guess based on your trough. Okay? If you inject once per week, for example, your trough value is at the very end of the week. Your peak could be so much higher, and then you have no idea where your shit is in between. So you're guessing so hard from just your trough on one time per week injections. On everyday injections, for example, on the contrary, your levels in serum are basically completely stable throughout the entire week. It doesn't matter when you grab labs. They're going to be 100% accurate for basically 99% accurate for where you're at throughout the entire week. Every 3-day injections, somewhere in the middle. So when you get your labs back, you're going to have to make a kind of a guess where your range is for the rest of the week, okay? Because you're only measuring when your labs are at the lowest. Okay, so you measure your labs at 8 weeks. I would recommend looking for a trough value of approximately 500 to 650 nanograms per deciliter. For most people, not everybody, but for most people, this will put their total testosterone somewhere around 1,000 to 1,100. Okay, that's a ballpark. Everyone's metabolism is different. You might have to make micro adjustments based on symptoms, okay? Because you always want to pair symptoms with your labs, not just one or the other. But when you see that, if you're too low, if you're at 400 and your estrogen's low, or you're at fucking 900 and you're having side effects, if you're not, great. If you're not having side effects and you don't mind being a little bit above the reference range, then great, you're already dialed in. Don't worry about it. But if your trough value is pretty high and you're having trouble sleeping, little anxiety, your mood's not great, maybe a little erectile dysfunction, or your shit's too low, make adjustments in your dosage by 10 to 20 milligrams. 10 to 20 milligrams, make sure that you won't overshoot or undershoot, so you don't have to make excessive amounts of adjustments, because every time you make an adjustment, you're going to be waiting 5 weeks for your levels to be steady state. Holy shit, sun's going down, my battery's on fucking 2%. If that doesn't stress you out, I don't know what will. Okay, so you make that first 10 to 20 milligram adjustment, trying to aim for that 500 to 650 nanogram per deciliter trough. Always going by symptoms and labs, you know, not just one or the other. Okay, so you make that adjustment. You wait 5 weeks for that to become steady state at that new dosage. You measure labs again, get that ultra-sensitive estradiol, total testosterone, free ET and SHBG if you want to, and see where you're at. See if you need to make another adjustment. Are you feeling good? You got a good libido, good sleep, good energy, good mood, all that stuff. And your total testosterone trough is somewhere between 500 and 650. You know, some people can get away with a little lower, maybe a little higher, but that's a good ballpark range. Then you don't need to make any adjustments. If you're having high estrogen side effects, that means your peak is going above your tolerable range. So then you need to make a dosage adjustment downwards, maybe by 10 milligrams or something. But anyway, that's literally the quickest way to get dialed in on testosterone without HCG, is by doing 100 milligrams, splitting into every 3-day injections, looking for a trough value about 500 to 650, making a dosage adjustment each time by only 10 to 20 milligrams, not 40, not 60, because you're gonna fucking overshoot it, and then you have to come back down, and it's gonna waste time. And of course, always go by symptoms and lab work. If your labs look fine, you're at 500 to 650 trough, and your mood's not good, you have libido issues, but your trough isn't too low, then your peak is probably too high. So you could try increasing your injection frequency or lowering your dose slightly. Those are a couple of options. I'd recommend increasing your injection frequency first if the side effects are, you know, pretty tolerable. You just have a little ED or something. And then secondly, if that doesn't improve things, then you can lower your dose. But that's the quickest way to get dialed in on testosterone replacement therapy. There's a bunch of different protocols. There's 200 milligrams plus HCG plus an AI you get dialed in on. But this is the simplest way, and man, you can feel fucking good. You can feel great doing it this way without having to, you know, use an aromatase inhibitor. There's gonna be people on the extremes, right? There's gonna be people who have to use an AI because they're high aromatizers, just genetically speaking. Okay, there's going to be people who need to have higher levels of testosterone because they are on the other end where they don't aromatize enough. Okay, but for most people, they lie on the average. And I think this method of getting dialed in strictly for testosterone cypionate or testosterone will work for the majority of people within the normal distribution. Okay, you may lie on the extremes. You may lie outside the normal range and have to make small tweaks to this formulae, but I think this will work for most people. We'll save a fucking getting dialed in with HCG and an AI for another video, but I do have getting dialed in on AI in a specific video, and I think it's super helpful if you're using HCG and you start having high estrogen side effects. I think always start with the lowest dose of an AI. Usually it's Arimidex and Astrazole. I usually recommend starting at 0.25 milligrams twice per week. If you have high estrogen on labs and you're having high estrogen symptoms, 0.25 twice a week is usually enough. Recheck in 2 weeks and make sure that you haven't shot down too low, or if you need to adjust your dosage on that. That's going a little bit beyond the topic of this video, but I just kind of want to dip my toes there. Hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully that helps you guys. Again, doesn't apply to everybody, but I think it will apply to a lot of people, and it'll get people dialed in really quick, because I have people messaging me who are fucking losing their mind because their protocol is driving them nuts, and hormones are fucking powerful shit. So they can't sleep, they have anxiety, they're dropping HCG, they're adding it back in, they're an astrazole doses going all over the place. If you're in that position and you're just juggling these meds and you can't figure it out, hard reset your protocol. There's no shame in that. Hard reset, start at a low dose, low moderate dose, and make adjustments slowly. Okay, that's my opinion. I'm a guy of moderation. I don't think most people need to start out any higher than 100 milligrams, because your total testosterone is going to be higher than it was pre-TRT if you're actually truly hypogonadal if you start at 100 milligrams per week. for like 99% of people, so you're already going to feel a little bit better. And then you just need to make 1 or 2 adjustments, and boom, you're there, you're dialed in. But yeah, of course there's extremes, and of course there's outliers and things like that, but this should work for most people. I would love to hear your opinion on this. If you've tried, you know what works for you, man. I've seen people inject 175 milligrams, 200 milligrams once per week. Works great for them. That's fine. I think for the most people, this method will accelerate getting dialed in. But of course, everyone's different. Let me know what you think, and I'll check you guys in the next one. Bye.